Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about green pond water, right, which gets its color from the algae that's in there. And we're going to be talking about, is this a good thing, bad thing? Do you want it? Do you want to get rid of it? Um, so a lot of times when people build these artificial ponds in their backyard, they'll put in like these really expensive filters to try and get that algae out of there. They don't like the way it looks. So, you know, the natural color for a pond is green. Okay, the algae is supposed to be in there. That's part of the natural cycle. Streams, on the other hand, which have running water, are clear. Okay, so if you want a natural pond, you can expect that it's going to have a green color, right? Just like this grass over here has a green color. Okay, and that algae that's in your pond is actually serving a really important purpose, right? What it's doing is it's consuming the waste products that are in the water. Okay, so if you think about it, if you're going to plant, right, let's say you're going to farm or something. Well, what do you put in the soil, right? You put fertilizer. Well, what is fertilizer? Fertilizer is basically poop. It's cow manure. Okay, so for the same reason that plants grow better on land when they have poop mixed into the soil, right? The same deal with the algae, right? So the more poop you have in the water, the more algae you're gonna get. Okay, so the algae is doing two things. Number one, it's helping. It's removing the waste products out of the water, and algae being a green plant that does photosynthesis is also producing oxygen. Okay, so the algae is actually putting oxygen in the water for your fish to breathe. Okay, so that's a good thing, right? We want that. So that's why I'm not I didn't want to go through any efforts to try and put in expensive filters and stuff like that to try and get the algae out of there, because the algae is actually serving a really useful purpose. Now, the way plants work is in the daytime, when they are photosynthesizing, right? When they're doing photosynthesis, they produce oxygen, right? And at night they consume oxygen. Okay, so what happens is in the daytime, they will produce a lot more oxygen than they consume at night. Okay, and that's how it works with all plants, with all trees. Okay, so actually I had looked it up. It takes about 30, an average of about 30 trees to supply enough oxygen for one human, right? And presumably those would be evergreen trees that are like green year round. So that takes into account the fact that they consume oxygen at night and produce oxygen in the daytime. Now, one of the things you do want to be cautious about is you don't want the algae to get so thick, all right, that basically sunlight can't enter the water, right? Because like if you have like a super thick layer of algae, not getting enough sunlight, now instead of producing oxygen, they're going to start consuming it even in the daytime. Okay, so and general rule of thumb, if you can see about a foot deep into the water, and I don't mean like look a foot deep and for it to be crystal clear, but if you can look about a foot deep, which is I can easily do here, and you can make out, let's say, a chunk of wood or something that's in there, or a fish that's swimming, you're good. Okay, even 6 inches is probably pretty decent, but a foot is excellent. Okay, so that's what the algae is doing. That all that green algae is it's consuming the waste products that the fish and frogs, and as things decay in there like leaves, it's consuming those waste products, and it's taking it out of the water through consumption, and it's producing oxygen and putting it in there. Now, um, there's another way to get those waste products out of the water, right? Because remember what I said earlier, you don't want to have too much algae, because then what happens is, because as long as there's food in there, right, in the form of ammonia and nitrates and the algae is going to keep growing, okay, and it'll keep growing to the point that it's almost out of control, and now the sunlight can't enter into the water, and now the algae starts consuming oxygen instead of producing oxygen. So a way to deal with it, right? Because there's other things that consume those waste products besides algae. There's bacteria, right, that consume those waste products, and those bacteria will grow naturally, right? They're in the air, they'll get in there. Now sometimes people will, I mean, you can go to like a aquarium, or a fish store, an aquarium store, and buy bacteria to add to it, but if you don't, it'll grow naturally. But here's the thing: this bacteria, the good bacteria, as a lot of times it's referred to, needs some place to grow on. Okay, so the three sides, because now if you think of a pond, there's basically three sides, right? There's the walls, right, and then there's the floor, the bottom. So that's not enough surface area to grow enough bacteria to keep things in balance, so that you don't end up with too much algae. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to put stuff in the pond, like these branches that you see here, right? Like big rocks, right? Tree bark. Okay, I don't have a whole lot of rocks in here. I've got lots of tree branches, and I've got lots of bark. The bark's nice because it floats on the water. Now you see a frog sitting on it right there. Okay, there he goes. Okay, so the bark is really nice. It floats on the water, and it provides lots of surface area for the good bacteria to grow on. Okay, so that's really good, because now that bacteria is going to grow, it's going to reproduce, it's going to consume the waste products, and the more the bacteria consumes the waste products, there'll be less available for the algae to consume, so they'll grow at a slower rate. Okay, so that's how you can control your algae growth, so it doesn't get so thick that it prevents sunlight from getting into the pond. Okay, again, like I said earlier, you want to be able to see 6 inches to a foot deep into your pond, and that's a good indication that you got enough sunlight getting in there. So if you can put structure in your pond, like these branches and tree bark, that will provide surface area for the good bacteria to grow on. And the other benefit of this is, if you look at these branches I have along the edge here, they also keep the heron out, right? Because last year I had a heron that thought that this pond was a restaurant for for storks. Okay, and he was coming here and he was eating my fish. So herons and stork-like birds with long legs, they generally want to land on a runway, like you see over here, right? They want to land on a runway, and then they'll walk into the pond, but they don't like tripping over stuff, right? And branches and stuff like that will cause them to trip, and they don't feel very comfortable with that, and they won't go in there. So this year that I've got branches all along the edge here, I haven't seen the heron even try. I haven't even seen the heron at all. Okay, I mean, it'll just fly over. You'll see branches. It's like, nope, not going there. Okay, it doesn't look like a nice place to eat. Okay, so that's how I got rid of the heron. Okay, so anyway, that's the deal with the algae, the green stuff that's growing in your pond. It's good. It's removing the waste products. Okay, and there's lots of videos out there that talk about the nitrogen cycle. Okay, how the fish waste is converted, is initially is ammonia, which is converted into it's converted by one type of bacteria into a nitrate, and then by a different type of bacteria into a nitrite, or rather it's nitrite and then nitrate. I don't remember. I'm not a specialist in that. But the algae plays a key role in getting those waste products out of the water by consuming them. But the algae doesn't have to be the only thing that's consuming them. You can also put, if you put structure in there, you'll get bacteria to consume those waste products, which will result in less algae. Okay. So a few things for you guys to think about. There's lots of videos out there. Just look up nitrate cycle, and it'll go into the details and to the chemistry of how this works. But yeah, if you got a pond, don't be turned off if it's got like a slightly greenish color. It's supposed to be there. I mean, that's the natural color of a pond. It's not a stream. Okay, It's a pond. It's supposed to be greenish because that algae is supposed to be there. It's supposed to be consuming the waste products, but you don't want it so thick that the sunlight can't penetrate, because then your algae, instead of producing oxygen, it's consuming oxygen. Okay, so drop some comments.